All right, welcome back to the Surly Talk Sports Podcast, the preview podcast brought to you by the TAB and Michelob Ultra. An exciting week too. Luke Metcalf named for the Warriors as we chase 4 straight tomorrow night. All Blacks assistant coaches have been named. And of course, some UFC action. Israel Adesanya, Navajo Stirling back in the octagon this weekend. So plenty to tuck the teeth into. Before we get into that though, the TAB code for this week. It's an interesting code name, but the code is good value. So the code name is Hooker. Don't ask me why. Hooker. But when you place it and then place an anytime try scorer bet in the Warriors versus Tigers game this week, if it misses, you'll get up to $20 back in bonus cash. So the code is Hooker. Chuck it in. I've actually had a few people mention as well they don't know where to enter the code on the app to get the promo. So if you click your account balance in the top right corner by the My Bets and Bet Slip section, a box will drop down from there. You click the bonus cash heading. Then there'll be a section that says claim a coupon below. You type this week's code in there. So chuck in Hooker, and then you're good to go. Place the bet from there, and away you go. So again, don't know why the code is Hooker, but it is a very good code. And there's some value. I reckon this is an opportunity. Chaser Jackson Ford. Maybe Fish can go in again. Maybe Aaron Clark is going to chase down Alex Johnston, and you could get on him early. He could be scoring every week from here on out now that he has undone the drought. His first Warriors try, chase some value. They don't score. Your money back in bonus cash up to $20. How bloody good. Henry, mate, still live from Dunners. How's things? You're back, tomorrow, I believe?
Yeah, back tomorrow, although there's a bit of a storm circulating in Auckland and Dunedin, I think both. So might not make it back tomorrow, but we'll hopefully be back not in the country, in the North Island tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed you are. Thursday night footy gets underway tonight, and it is a goodie too. Both teams with plenty to play for. Manly $2.80 underdogs at home taking on the Chooks. $1.44, of course. This one is at Brookvale. Manly off a bye looking for their first win. The Chooks off a 40-4 hiding from the Panthers. And DCE, one of Manly's favourite sons, returns to his old ground after playing there for 15 years. I have a feeling this one's going to be pretty spicy for Manly. Not too many changes. In fact, it's the exact same starting side that went down to the Knights before the bye. There is some chat, though, that this young prop, Liafi, is going to come into the 17. There is some talk around Taukei'aho potentially being a late scratching, so keep an eye out for him. I thought he looked really good in the preseason. He was good against the Warriors. I think he's still only 18 years old. He's a big body, and it adds some real size to their pack in the middle. So watch that space. For the Roosters, Billy Smith is back from concussion, and Hugo Savala made a successful return from an ankle injury in New South Wales Cup last week. He's on that interchange bench as well. Odds are he won't get on, barring injuries to the halves, but that could be a potential watch too, because it's fair to say this halves combo hasn't exactly been firing on all cylinders, and I thought Savala and Walker complemented each other really well last year. So keep an eye out for that one in the next few weeks. The Roosters, they've won 6 of their last 8 games against Manly. For some try scorers, Tom Trbojevic, 6 tries in his last 6 games at 4 Pines, and Kola, 12 tries in his last 11 games at 4 Pines Park. For me, I just see the Chooks. Surely they are too good for this Manly side at the moment, who will be low on confidence. They're probably playing for their coach's career, but I'm not sure if that's a motivating factor for them or not. I just think the Roosters, after being embarrassed like that, surely Trent Robson gets a response from his lads, and I think they're going to have too many points in them. I am thinking the Chooks get this done in a pretty tight one. Some interesting talking points around Jake Trbojevic. He's really struggled at the start of the season. Tom's looked good, but Manly really need their leaders to stand up here. And I think the boys from Bondi make DCE's return to Brookvale a pretty successful one. What are you thinking here, bro?
Yeah, it's a big game for Manly. Just in the context of their season, for their coach, geez, they won't want to lose to DCE coming to 4 Pines Park. So I think that's a big talking point, bigger than probably people might make it seem like. I'm a big believer that they'll play for this game just to sort of prove a point. Not only that, but for their coach's career. So I think the Seagulls will show up probably for long periods of the game. The Roosters will bounce back, though. I mean, they surely can't be that bad. Or was it just the Panthers were good? Who knows? But yeah, I'd assume the Roosters will be too good here, but probably not as big as probably the odds suggest.
Yeah, Manly sitting in 11th off the back of a bye, so their fans are actually probably pretty happy because they've been pretty average the first 2 weeks, but 11th certainly isn't the end of the world. If they could bank the 2 points here, that would be huge, but I think the Chooks get back to their winning ways. Speaking of winning ways, Friday night footy, you gotta love it. We are back at the Fortress. That's 3 Friday night home games. Really, that's become our new segment now, this 8 p.m. Friday night kickoff. Personally, I love it. We've won our last 8 straight against the Tigers. We've scored 82 points in our 2 games at home so far this year. And I can't see this changing. We're $1.22 favourites taking on the Tigers, 4.25. I was a little bit surprised at that 4.25. I think that is a little bit too high for the Tigers. I think they'll give us a decent run for our money. The odds suggest, though, that it is going to be a cricket score. And wowee, what a squad that Webby has named. I mentioned Surly Set of 6 on Monday. If you haven't checked it out already, make sure you do. A weekly Warriors pod that drops off the back of games every Monday, reviewing the biggest talking points, the fixture itself, the biggest takeaways. And I mentioned the Mariana Trench. Our depth in our squad is just so deep. It's the deepest ocean on Earth. Well, this trench has just got a whole lot deeper. Back early, Luke Metcalf comes in. They were talking round 6, round 7. Turns out it's round 4. His first game since round 17 last year. The ACL is fully recovered and Met the Jet is ready to take off. I can't wait to see him back out there. He will partner Tanner Boyd in an exciting halves combo. We also welcome back Chance Nickel-Krogstad from concussion at the back. Chanel Harris-Tavita also back from concussion, but he is on that interchange bench. And then Adam Pompey, the new father, the DILF. Welcome to baby girl last Saturday, same day as game day last week. So hopefully that is a good omen as well. But really keen to see him back in the centre. So, of course, Leka moves back into the back row for the Tigers. Jock Madden, the new number 6, taking over from Jerome Luai. I was surprised to see Adam Dewey named. Great news for Tigers fans. Whether he plays or not, I'm not 100% sure. Like, he could barely walk off the paddock last week. He's got a flight over to New Zealand, wet conditions. It kind of screams a little bit weary of something like that for a hamstring injury, but let's see. I was excited to see Bunty Alfoa on a bench as well. That would almost be a nice little story if Bunty gets a crack back at Mount Smart, where he really is a big fan favourite. Yeah, Warriors have won their last 8 straight against the Tigers. They haven't won here since 2018. They've lost their last 9 straight Friday night games as well. And Leka, he has scored 7 tries in his last 6 NRL games. So excited for this one. Henry, I know you have some thoughts on this team list, some questions more, should I say. So fire away, bro.
Yeah, I mean, exciting news that Metcalf's back. I'm not going to shy away from that. And this is not, like, I've got to say, this is not that I don't want him to come back. This is not that I'm annoyed that he's back. I love Luke Metcalf, and I actually love the sort of mix between Tanner Boyd and Luke Metcalf in the same squad. I really like what it's going to bring. I just don't want us to rush these guys back. And we saw it work with Barney. That was fine. But we knew that Barney had been training. He'd been in and around, and maybe if they lost round 1, he could have been in round 2. I mean, I'm just nervous. I think just in the past, these sort of stuff has come back to bite us. And we saw what happened last year when players got injured. It ruined parts of our season, right? So I just don't want it to happen again. That's the only reason why I'm a little bit skeptical about throwing him in. I would have been more of a fan of, I know the Melbourne game's in 3 weeks' time or 2 weeks' time. That's probably the big one that they wanted him back for. I just would have probably done it another way, whether it was 30 minutes, whether he was on the bench, whether it was 20 minutes in cup, and then come back next week. That's probably how I would have approached it rather than just 80 minutes in the 6 jersey straight in. But, I mean, I'm still excited to see him rip in. I just have a couple question marks around that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and your sentiments are kind of echoed by a few people out there on social media. I would say Webby and the medical team wouldn't chuck him back in unless he was 100%, and he has been training at 100% for a wee while now. So in terms of training load, in terms of taking contact and all that stuff, he's good to go. He's ticked every box. And in terms of coming back straight into the NRL side, I've kind of got this point that if he was coming back in the 7 jersey, I'm not sure if they would have brought him back in straight away. I think the 6 jersey, the form of Tanner Boyd at the moment, how dominant he's been as our game controller, doing all the kicking, kind of getting the team around the paddock. Chanel's been playing a really strong running game, but Lukey's been managing most of that playmaking load. Sorry, Tanner has. Then we saw Luke Henson last week just come in and do his thing, run the ball, defend strongly, but Tanner Boyd was certainly the dominant half. half, and I think Luke Metcalf will play a pretty similar role this week. He will be allowed to focus on his strengths, which is his ball running, his support play, using his speed. He can still play make, and he's got a kicking game on him, but I don't think it's going to be all eyes on Lukey Met for our attack. I think Tanner will still shoulder the majority of the load there, and I think Tanner Boyd's form in the 7 has allowed him to come straight back in the 6 jersey. I do feel a little sorry for Chanel. I don't think he has done anything that warranted being dropped. Same as Luke Hanson, right? Like, he had a great debut, but again, that's just testament to our depth. And I think when you get someone like Luke Metcalf available to come back, you kind of just got to bite the bullet and chuck him straight back in. And for me, it's an exciting prospect around potentially him hitting his straps for that Melbourne Storm game in first grade, or even the Sharks game. Not that I'm underestimating the Tigers by any means, but I just think the former Tanner will allow him to not ease his way back in, but pick his moments to inject himself into the game, which is when Lukey can look so dangerous. So, yeah, I'm really excited by this one. I just think his running game, chucking that straight back into our spine off the back of quick play the balls with Wade up to his usual mischief around the ruck. Yeah, I think the stage is set for an exciting return from injury. It'll be interesting to see timing-wise and things, how quickly it all comes back to him. As you mentioned, Mitch looked outstanding last week, but it is a very different role. But yeah, I think Lukey will be fine. He's good to go and he's ready to rip. So I think you got to let the Ferrari out of the garage once it's ready. And yeah, he is ready.
Yeah, you do, and well explained. Like, I agree with all those points. It's just the nervous factor for me. That's all it is. Like, I just feel like, let's be real, we're favourites to win this game. We were favourites to win this game without Luke Metcalf. Even without Mitch Barnett or Pompey coming back, we'd probably be favourites. So that's just where my thinking is around that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to rip in and be sweet. It's just I'll need to get that first sort of 30 minutes under his belt and I'll be okay. But like, yeah, that's just where I thought.
Nah, fair. There's been a lot of chat as well around Chance and Tane, which no doubt is a big talking point amongst the fan base as well. And look, it's an interesting one, right? Tane has been outstanding over the last couple of weeks, and attack-wise, he certainly offers a whole lot of pros. He's a very different attacking player to Chance is, and there was chat around Chance coming into the centres and replacing Ali. I think Ali's actually been really good the last couple of weeks. Like, defensively, week 1, he wasn't up to the task, but he's certainly fired a couple shots back now, and I'm keen to keep giving him more game time because I think he could be a great strike centre for us as he gets more experience under his belt. I will say, like, attack is one thing, defense is another, and I'm not saying Tane is a bad defender, but when you speak to Webby and you talk to the players, the first thing they say about Chance is how strong he is defensively, and that he's one of the best communicators and organisers in the NRL when it comes to fullback. I think wet conditions against a team like the Tigers, like, defense is going to be so important. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, and I think that's where Chance has the upper hand at the moment. Plus, Webby has shown, like, he's a very loyal guy, and you almost have to lose your position more than someone else has to earn it. So I think Tane's time will come, and as much as I would have liked to have seen him out there for his attacking flair, that different body out the back of shapes, and his work rate as well, and the excitement he brings injecting himself, I think you got to stick with Chance and keep going from there. And I like it for Ali in terms of his potential ceiling as well. Love seeing Pompey back as well. So underrated for me. An extremely good player, footwork-wise, strong defender, and I think his game has gone to another level over the last 18 months. So I love this for our lads. In terms of keys to getting the win in this one, I just think that forward pack needs to continue to dominate. That Tigers pack is decent too, so we're going to have a decent challenge there, but that'll allow Wade and Tanner to do their thing. It'll allow Metcalf to push up and support off the back of offloads. We can play a bit of second phase footy. Like, our speed, our fitness, our skill set in the forward pack is one of our biggest assets. And when you look at our middles, like Jackson Ford, Mitch Barnett, Dimitrik, even Aaron Clark, like, they were second rowers. Aaron Clark was a hooker or a 6 that has turned into a lock. I think the speed of the game now suits the makeup of our forward pack because a lot of our guys aren't genuine props. They're bigger bodied second rowers with really nice skill set, footwork, passing game that allows us to carve up opposition forward packs just because we can go with the speed and pace of the game. So hopefully our four pack can continue to dominate. That'll allow Wade to do his thing. Leka back in the second row, great kick target. And we just continue this roll on. Defense, scramble hard, work for each other, good discipline in wet conditions. Don't allow Adam Dewey, if he plays, to control the game with his big boot and his strong ball running. But Yeah, I back the lads to get this one done. Again, like that Knights last week, it's another in previous years potential banana skin, but I think that we are a good enough side. There will be no complacency. The lads will hold themselves accountable because they're still not 100% satisfied with where we're at. And I think we get another win. I'm not sure if it's a 13 pluser. I'll have money on it because I do every week, but I do think it could be a lower scoring affair purely down to, as you mentioned before, the weather that is on the way to Auckland. Friday night, green ponchos, V, you have my permission. The Tigers do not wear green, so we can roll them out because I think the crowd might need them, unfortunately.
Geez, if you're the Tigers, you'd be making up a green kit, wouldn't you?
The
A green
green
away kit.
away alternative
Yeah,
jersey.
some alternative
Yeah,
strip or something like
yeah,
that. But yeah, I agree. I agree with all of your takes there. I mean, it'll be good to see the boys rip in another challenge to go 4-0. I mean, it's a different challenge forward pack wise to probably the Knights. I think the Tigers are definitely a bit better forward pack. I don't think Dewey's going to play. That's just my opinion. I don't think he's going to play from the footage that we saw last weekend. It's a pretty hamstrings are a tough thing to sort of come back for, and I know that they
yeah.
said it's just tightness, but yeah, I don't think he'll play, but that's just me, and without Luai, they're probably just not as much of a threat on attack, so yeah, I think the
Yeah,
boys will rip in.
it's round 4, like, do you risk him? That would if he does that, then that is a massive blow to their season, whereas if you give him a couple weeks off, you bring him back when Luai returns, right? And it would make things so much easier for them. If Api Korosau moves out of 9 into the halves, then that is a big blow for them, and I'm really keen to see Wade and Api go at it because to me, they are 2 of the most creative 9s out there in the competition, and that would be a great head-to-head battle. Speaking of head-to-head battles, this Broncos-Dolphins game after I'm keen for this one. The Battle of Brizzy. Adam Reynolds back on deck after missing that Storm game with a rib injury. Interested to see if that has a positive impact. The big blow, though, has to be Payne Haas out with a shoulder injury. Xavier Willison moves into prop, and of course, great replacement right there. But ideally, you'd have both. You'd have Payne starting the game. He is massive for this Broncos four pack. Piakura comes back into the starting side, which is good. He was good off the bench for them last week. Still no room for Shibasaki, who is on the interchange. Interesting point, too. Madge Maguire only used 15 players last week against the Storm. So not a big interchange guy. Let's see what his rotation is like this week. For the Finns, Flegler, he's named on a bench. He'll return from a rib injury, which is a great get for them. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I feel like the Finns really hit their straps last week. Broncos, big win. Still some drama going down with this whole Ben Teo situation, so I'm keen to see how that affects them. They've won 4 of their last 5 games against the Dolphins at Suncorp, but something to me screams an upset here. I like the Hammer to score a try as well. Avarillo in great try-scoring form. 6 tries in his last 4 NRL games, and Hammer's scored 20 in his last 14 at Suncorp. I think I'm going to back in the Finns. I'm going to back in Isaiah Katoa to put on a clinic here, and I think they will be too good for the Broncos. I just don't trust their consistency yet with still all this drama going on and Payne Haas out of the team.
A lot of people will probably look past the drama, but I actually think it's a big thing in a camp leading into such a big game like this. It's a derby game, whatever you want to call it. I agree with you in a sense about the Dolphins. They've sort of started to hit their straps after their win.
But
But there is a but. There's a key but. I just the
go the
Broncos for
Broncos.
me. I don't know. Yeah, I'll figure that out in the next 10 minutes while we're finishing the games. Who I'm going to tip because I do agree with a lot of what you said about the Dolphins. I do see that matchup being a close one. But yeah, I think the Broncos. I mean, it's a big ask without Payne Haas with the unrest in the camp as well. So we'll see.
I had 2 games down as where we could be different for this week, and I think that was one of them. So let's wait and see.
We'll see.
Saturday, Doggies, Knights. One for the purists. Dogs, $1.26 favourites. The Knights, $3.90. I actually like the change, the one change that the Dogs have made, and that's Satili Tupanua moving into start at prop. Sam Hughes out with a 1-game suspension, but I think Satili, similar to what I mentioned before with most of our middles at the moment being converted second rowers, I think Tupanua will be great for the Bulldogs middle. He's aggressive, he hits hard, carries hard, and while they're low on troops there, still waiting for Leo Thompson to come back. I'm really keen to see him get some more minutes, so let's see how he goes. Up against the Knights pack that will be without Trey Mooney as well, so that is a big blow for them. Tyson Frizzell keeps his spot in the team despite that last-minute chip and chase, which had to be a massive brain fart, but they don't exactly have bodies to replace him, and he is one of their better players, to be fair. But Fletcher Sharp listed to return. Not sure if he will. At the moment, Tyson Gamble drops back to the bench. The Bulldogs, though, they've won their last 3 straight against the Knights. Bradman Best, 7 tries in his last 6 games against the Dogs, and Jacob Preston, 6 tries in his last 6 games. I think this is going to be a lower scoring affair. I think the Bulldogs will have too much talent, though. The Knights still without 2 of their best attacking threats. Without Trey Mooney through the middle, I think that really hurts their forward pack. I just can't see them getting enough front foot ball to unleash guys like Bradman Best and that, who are their best attacking threats left in the side. And I'm still unsure whether Fletcher Sharp laces up. So I think the Dogs get it done, but I'm not expecting the most entertaining spectacle in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bulldogs will win. Bronson Xerri also lurking in the reserves,
Mm.
which is a big. And I mean, Trey Mooney, like people may not understand sort of maybe the aggressive role that he plays, but I mean, I think that's a big loss. What we saw last week from the Knights, like I don't think it was the Warriors' perfect performance, and we sort of dominated them without a lot of our cattle. So I'm going to go the Bulldogs by a long way here.
Long way. Love it.
Yeah.
Panthers, Para, Battle of the West. Panthers $1.20 favourites. Paramount $4.60. And to be fair, Para aren't that bad. I think those odds are more a reflection of how good the Panthers are. They've dominated their opponents throughout the first 3 rounds. They've conceded just 10 points across 3 games. Pretty unreal stuff. And they've rolled out the exact same team. So Ivan's got the luxury of a healthy squad at the moment. And the Penrith lads are certainly delivering. For Para, no major changes. Sam Ranie's out with a knee injury, so Brian Kelly comes in there. Jermaine Hopgood, that's a major injury to producer Henry's fantasy team, but it probably isn't a needle mover in terms of whether they were going to beat the Panthers or not. He is out with an ACL injury, which is a big blow for them for sure. But yeah, they've won their last 4 games against the Eels. Interestingly, the Eels have won their last 4 games at CommBank, so they do like playing there. It's listed as a Panthers home game, but it is, of course, the Eels home ground too. Panthers still finishing off their home stadium, so a bit of a coincidence there. Panthers are aiming for a 4-0 start for the 3rd time since 2021. They always start the season so well. Ed 9 tries in his last 5 games against CommBank. Brian To'o, 10 tries in his last 10 games against the Eels. Let's see if he can pull out some more Mary Fowler footwork there and score another insane try. But to me, I've noticed the TAB, they've cracked down on my Panthers only team to score 20 plus points bet. It was 255 last week. I was encouraging people to jump on. Clearly people have. It's $1.67 this week. The bookies have worked it out that the Panthers are bloody hard to score points against. As I mentioned, you could combine their first 3 conceded and it would still be under that 20 mark. So I can't see Para beating that. I still like it at $1.67. Obviously, it's not as juicy, but I think the Panthers just go to work here. I think Isaiah Yeo, Mitch Kenny, Nathan Cleary, they've just got too many big game players that will not allow themselves and their team to get ahead of themselves. Milky Jenkins, probably good for a couple more tries. Brian To'o in there too. They've just got threats all across the park. And the thing I like the most about them is they're just so consistent. Every week they show up and you can almost guarantee the level of football they are going to be at. They don't really drop off much. And I think last year's disappointing season by their standards will be motivating them a whole lot as well. So I've got the Panthers to get it done. I'm thinking like, I don't know, 28-8, something like that. I think they'll hold the Eels to a low score and score a fair few themselves. Not a hiding, just more of a dominant win.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sort of leaning towards the question is more how many points are the Eels going to score. I think I think the Panthers will just be way too dominant here. So yeah, I'm taking them by a long way. Their defense has just been unreal, eh? Like we always knew they're a good defensive side, but now it's just almost gone to another level. And the Eels were good last week, but I just can't see them even troubling the Panthers really.
For sure. Cowboys, $4.60, Storm $1.20. Won't hark on this one too much. Trent Learu back in the starting side at lock after making his return from suspension off the bench last week. Cowboys chasing 2 wins on the trot, which would make Toddy Payton very happy. But the Storm off the back of a disappointing second half. I just think there's no way Bellamy doesn't have his boys up for this one, and I'm expecting their spine to really stand up. Guys like Joe Chan and that been really impressive to start the season too. So some good little individual battles there between some second rowers, but hopefully Moses Leo has a better knock as well. I'm thinking Melbourne get this one done and by a decent margin as well. Yes, the Cows are at home, but there's way too much quality in that Storm side to lose 2 in a row, especially to a side like the Cowboys, surely.
Yeah, they'll be too good to not. They won't play anywhere like they did last week, I would have thought. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think the Storm, I mean, geez, you wouldn't want to be in a Craig Bellamy changing room after a loss. So, yeah, I think it's a big game.
Yeah, it'll be a tough training week, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sunday, 2 games. First one, decent. Second one, Struth. That is going to be a tough watch. But the Raiders take on the Sharks first. Raiders $1.87 favourites at home. The Sharks $1.95 underdogs. Of course, no Big Papa. He is out for the Raiders. Sorry, with a 1-game ban. Careless high tackle deserved the ban as well. Morgan Smithies gets the start at prop. Most interesting talking point for me, Matty Timoko. Still can't get a crack in the 19. He's been playing New South Wales Cup, so clearly it's not the injury that he suffered and that forced him to miss a lot of preseason, keeping him out of the side. He's just missing out at the moment. And to me, like Simi Sasagi's a great player, but I like him in the second row. I like him in that forward pack. And the Raiders look like a team that need a bit more strike, a bit of explosiveness out wide on the edges just to score some more points. Their forward pack has been great, but attacking wise, at times, it's looked like they need a little bit more X factor and flair. And that's what Matty Tomoko brings. Like, if I'm other clubs in the competition at the moment, Warriors probably included, I'm ringing his agent and I'm finding out what's going on because he can't be happy playing cup footy. He's a current Kiwi centre. He needs to be playing first grade, and I think he'll be a great pickup for more than a handful of clubs in the NRL at the moment. So that one is certainly a head scratcher, and I think something to watch because can't see it dragging on for too long before some chat comes out around him potentially looking to move elsewhere. For the Sharks, Teague Wilton back from shoulder surgery last week via the bench. He starts this week. Britton Nikora, a big blow, out with a broken nose. Raiders have lost their last 3 home games. Sharks have won 4 of their last 5 against the Raiders. Sharkies looking to bounce back. So are the Raiders, though. This is going to be an interesting game, a low-scoring affair, I reckon. And the Battle of the Halves is going to be an interesting matchup as well. But I'm thinking the Raiders here, but I say that with no real confidence because I think these two teams are very evenly matched.
Yeah, the Tomoko thing is an odd one because it's like they haven't been good enough to sort of keep him out. It would make sense if they were winning games, right? If they were like I know they did. Well, I can't even remember the last time. Have they won a game this season? Raiders? They've won
The
one, haven't they?
Raiders? Yeah, one golden point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it would make sense if they were like blowing teams out of the park and their back line was firing on all cylinders, but they're just not. And that's probably the thing that spooks me the most. For the matchup, it's a big game for the Sharks. I mean, I'd be rude. It'd be rude for me to pick the Sharks after how much shit I talk about them.
Yeah.
So it's a big game for the Raiders at home. I mean, after last week's disappointment though as well. So yeah, I'm probably go the Raiders as well.
Fingers crossed the stadium windows hold up this week. Cam
Yeah.
Serraldo, 50 stitches in his hand. That is pretty brutal. And Ricky Stewart didn't mince his words in saying that they need an upgrade in their stadiums, but that everyone ignores the nation's capital. So maybe the lads have some extra motivation this week. They're playing for some stadium upgrades. The last game of the weekend, I normally call these games poo slingers. Well, this one is, I've called it the Barley Belly Bowl. It is that bad. It's not even a legit poo slinger. This is shocking stuff. Titans $1.80, Dragons $2.02. Two teams on the hunt for their first win go head to head. Gold Coast hosting the Dragons to close out round 4. For the Titans, no panic from coach Josh Hannay. Sticks to the same team. Good to see Jaden Campbell return last week. I thought he looked sharp. The interesting talking point for me with the Titans is Big Tino. Hasn't played over 50 minutes in a single game this year. He became a fantasy trade for me this week. I'm hoping this week isn't the week where he plays big minutes because I will probably live to regret that. But yeah, 48 minutes, I believe, his highest workload so far. Can't work that out. Recently just extended too, so it's nothing to do with contracts and being unhappy or anything like that. It's just a lower workload. I get that he has returned from a big injury recently, but he's your best player, he's your club captain. So I'd like to see those minutes up around the 60 mark, and I'm really surprised that hasn't been. For the Dragons, of course, Toby Couchman, he's under concussion. And then you've got The other Couchman brother out for 4 weeks with a suspension, which also hurt my fantasy team, by the way. So a couple changes to their pack. The Titans have only won 1 of their last 9 games. And interesting stat, they've lost their last 15 straight Sunday Arvo games. They quite often get that Sunday last game of the round slot because they're hardly bums on seats stuff, but geez, it doesn't suit them well. The Dragons have won 5 of their last 6 games against the Titans as well. I like Jaden Campbell to score at $3.25. I think that is a bargain. But I like the Dragons at $2.02 to get the win here. I think they're a better football side than the Titans at the moment. They created opportunities last week to beat Para, just poor decision making from their halves. They blew multiple opportunities. I think Gutho probably overplayed his hand a little. I do think the Dragons are potentially the better side. So I think I'm going to back them in, mate. I've got you here tipping the Titans, I reckon.
So this was the game. Was this the second game that you thought could
Yeah.
go separate ways?
Yeah.
Geez, I didn't. When I was just doing my tips before, I had no clue who I was going to tip. I
Yeah.
think I was on the Titans, and then I wanted the Dragons. So I'll give it a minute or two to decide. I do think it's just a shocking game of rugby league. It is like it'll be a good game because I'm sure there'll be some storylines and stuff around it. But yeah, the thing on Tino pissed me off round 1, pissed me off round 2 because he was in my fantasy team. I've got rid of him now, but it just you just need your good players out on the paddock for more minutes.
Oh,
Like
especially
that's
when
a
you're
simple
searching
thing.
for a win. It's your captain. It makes no sense to
100%.
me. Unless he's carrying some injury and workload limitation that we don't know about. But like he went on the kangaroo tour. Like he's been good to go for a while now. So yeah,
Yep,
weird one.
that's where I'm
Weird
at.
one.
Are we going to go through the tips?
Yep, let's do our tips. Manly, Roosters, I'm going the Chooks.
Yeah, I'm going the Chucks too.
Warriors, Tigers, we're both on the Wars,
Skip.
right? Yep, skip that one. Broncos, Finns, I'm going Finns up.
I'm going the Broncos.
Dogs, Knights, I'm going the Dogs.
Yeah, same here.
Panthers, Para, skip, I'm going the Panthers.
Same here.
Cowboys, Storm, I'm going the Storm.
Same here.
Raiders, Sharks, going Canberra, but not confidently.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Yeah, I agree.
And then the Barley Belly Bowl, I am going Dragons.
I'm going the Dragons too.
Okay, so just the one different. I need the Finns this week. It's 3-0 at the moment. I need to claw one back, so fingers crossed that is a game that I can peg back from you, mate, because your confidence levels are going through the roof, I have to say.
Well, they were on Monday. I'm a bit more nervous now after seeing the team lists and stuff. I'm a bit more nervous, but yeah, it's a good start from the season from me.
Roger, there's some rumours around him too, so just quickly address that before we move on to your rugby union. A lot of chat coming out this week out of the UK that Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is set to sign a multi-year deal with Wakefield Trinity in the Super League. That, of course, is the club that Jazz Tavanga is at the moment. Roger's off contract at the end of this year, so to me, it does make a lot of sense. There was a bit of chat late last week, early this week, that he was in talks with Sydney clubs. I believe the Roosters and Rabbitohs were keen. But to me, this feels a whole lot better. I would rather he finish his NRL career at the Warriors and then head over to Super League rather than us have to come up against him. And in the Warriors' defense, I can see why this is coming about. There's chat with signed Warbrick. There's chat we're in talks with Grant Anderson as part of this Broncos Mitch Barnett deal. Those are both wingers. Dallin still signed till the end of 2027. We've got Olofiana Khan Pereira, Hazen Mellors. I think Motu Pasikala is in the extended squad this year, so we're not short on wingers. Roger, still playing elite footy, a great player, one of the club's greatest ever, really, when you break it all down. It'll be incredibly sad to see him go. I think the security of a multi-year deal, and I'd imagine that Wakefield will be throwing a fair bit of money at him as well, has probably just made that offer too hard for our club to compete with. When you look at our winger stocks, who's arriving, and then the finances, I think it's kind of a combination of all of those. I'm sure we would have made a play or an offer, or we would have been thinking about it, because his form again this year has been elite. Dalian Team of the Year on the wing last year, so he was outstanding. But yeah, I think this is just one of those ones where the money over in the Super League is probably too much for him to say no to compared to what we can offer. And I can't imagine we would have offered him a 2-year deal or anything like that. I think he turns 33 this year. Super League, a bit easier of a competition on the body too, and I think he'll carve it up over there, eh? Him and Jazz will be a nice little Warriors duo. I'll probably have to start watching Wakefield games, but yeah, what's your thoughts on that, bro? Do you echo those sentiments?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a good move for both parties. I think the way forward for the Warriors, we've often talked about how we need more pace in our backline, and this is nothing against Roger. He's still probably a pretty quick footballer for our
Oh,
team. But I just think going forward, I don't mind the deal. He's probably on quite a big contract on the Warriors, and we're gonna offer him 1-year deals, whatever you were just saying. Yeah, for me, I just think it's a good deal for both clubs. Sad to see him go, but I'm not overly sad if we can get the likes of Grant Anderson and Kampuru, get them going and players like that. So, yeah, and Will Walbrook, obviously. So, I don't think it's a bad move for either party, really.
yeah, it's bittersweet, but it's understandable, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, as well, just a shout out to the New South Wales Cup lads, of course, playing before the Warriors tomorrow night up against the Western Suburbs Magpies. Braylon Marsh, starting at 9, son of PJ Marsh, 19 years old. We signed him from the Dragons in the off season. Him, Jet, Hazen Mellors in a three-way race to become the first ever father-son duo to play for the Warriors NRL side. All three lacing up tomorrow, so it's pretty rare that you get three sons of Warriors all in the same team. So looking forward to watching him go. By all accounts, he's been going great throughout the grades early doors, and he gets his opportunity through injuries. Still only 19, great footballer. So excited to watch him rip Bishop Neal on the bench as well after scoring on his cup debut last week. So plenty of exciting young lads coming through the Warriors system. You love to see it. Now, rugby, 15-man code. A lot going on there too. The All Blacks have their full coaching staff complete. I am excited about it. Henry, do you want to just run through who's doing what? And then I'll give my thoughts off the back of that.
Yeah, so Dave Rennie, obviously the head coach, and it came again, New Zealand Rugby, posting it on Instagram. Actually, the social media guy has posted it at the wrong time because they've deleted it a minute later and then
Wow.
waited for the release to come out 10 minutes later. So someone could be out of a job there. But Dave Rennie's named as assistant coaches. Senior lead assistant is 2IC. A lot of people like to say second in command is Neil Barnes, former Taranaki coach, now former Taranaki coach.
Yeah.
Hard man. If you listen to any of his press conference yesterday, geez, it was just good. It was good all round. I thought like just great knowledge.
Mm.
Says it how it is, straight shooter. So he's the second in charge. Wha'alonga Umanga is the defense coach. We talked a lot about that on the show in the last couple of weeks. I like that move. I've still got question marks about it at international level for the All Blacks, but there's no denying sort of what he can bring to the environment. Mike Blair, a lot of people probably don't know too much about him. He's the attack coach for the Kobe Steelers with Dave Rennie. Not only that, he's probably I think he's the most capped Test international for Scotland, like out of the halfbacks.
Yeah.
So he's a good international player in his own right. Has head coached Glasgow, I believe, then was with Rennie at Glasgow as an assistant. So he's a good brain. He's got some other thoughts. One of the first assistant coaches that the All Blacks have had that hasn't been a New Zealander. So
Yeah.
that's
I was going
another.
to ask, is that the first or has there been a couple others?
I think from memory, Mick Byrne,
Mm.
who's the Fiji coach now, I'm pretty sure he was in the All Blacks environment. Could be wrong.
Okay.
Someone will correct me on that. And he's Australian from memory. So
Mm.
I don't think it's the first one, but it's one of the first. And then Jason Ryan stays. So Jason Ryan, the forwards coach, but his role is redefined to go from the forwards, which he was looking after the scrum, more a lot of the line out stuff, although Bryn Evans was there. So he's sort of a more defined role to just the scrum and the maul because Neil Barnes
Mm.
is a forwards coach and a line out coach in his own right. So they're sort of sharing that role. And obviously sad news for anyone losing job with Tamati Allison. Scott Hansen and Bryn Evans all losing their jobs with
Mm.
the All Blacks. Although Tamati Allison's the new Māori All Blacks coach,
Yeah. Love that.
so that's all of the updates there. So there's a little bit of movement, but I don't think there's any sort of like no one doesn't know their role. I
Mm.
quite like how everyone's got their defined role. There'll be no question marks. No one will question who's the head coach, who's doing what. So what did you make of the news yesterday?
Yeah, I love the Neil Barnes appointment. That had been in the works, right, ever since the day Dave Rennie got the job. And you said you loved the press conference, man. Like, you can't help but smile. You can't help but feel a weird sense of confidence and assurance, but also just be like, this guy seems like a bloody good bloke. And by all accounts, again, like 2016 at the Chiefs, he was one of these coaches alongside Rennie that recruited Shooter there, and Shooter speaks so highly of him, Sean Stevenson, in terms of the person he is. He loves a beer, loves a yarn with the lads. When it's time to work, he works bloody hard, but he also encourages, like, he's old school in his mindset and his mentality, but he also likes to encourage a pretty exciting style of play. And we've seen that with Taranaki too. They haven't been afraid to throw the ball around. They're big on their core roles, but then also there's some flair and some razzle dazzle and some freedom in there. And I think there was that quote where he said, whether you're playing snakes and ladders or international rugby, I got the same shit about me. Like, I don't mess around. So he is coming to win. He's made it very clear that it is a huge honour for him. He's made it clear that he thought Dave Rennie needed this job. They've worked well together in the past. He's had coaching experience at Chiefs, Taranaki, Italy, Canada, Fiji, ticks every box. And he just seems like that uncle that you have in your family where you're just like, this guy is a bloody good man and I'd do anything for him. And All Black players that have been coached by him speak really highly about him too. So excited to see Barnsley and just a good Taranaki lad. I think Jace Ryan deserved to keep his job. He seems like another that just loves the lads, loves the jersey, so passionate. And I think he was doing a good job with the set piece in particular with our forward pack. I thought we saw some improvement there. So I'm all for Jace Ryan keeping the job. Mike Blair, probably the most interesting one for me, but also an exciting one. As you mentioned, former Scotland captain, British and Irish Lion. He's got the experience coaching too under Rennie. So this is just a really Dave Rennie bringing his guys in, and that's enough for me. And when you watch Mike Blair coached attacks as well, they're pretty exciting too. So I'm keen to see what he can do. A bit of a different perspective in terms of how we attack and a different mindset around it too. So I'm excited a bit around the unknown there for me, but again, the references are all glowing. So I think he'll be a great addition. And then Tana, yeah, All Black number 961, former captain, 74 tests. I think that alone gets him the job just in terms of the influence he's going to have on this playing group. Like, a lot of these lads grew up idolizing him, and I know that's not the whole point, but when you're on a short 18-month campaign, like, shit like that matters, right? It's similar to being coached by a Benji Marshall or someone like that. Like, players respond to stuff like that. I think Tana will be a great influence for this team around the culture. And I do think defensively, yes, Blues tenure didn't work out. Moana haven't been the greatest side defensively, but I think that's more a personnel issue. And I think at the international level, when given the best of the best, I think Tana's going to do a good job. So, yeah, I'm excited by this coaching group, mainly around Barnes and Tana, but I think Ryan and Blair deserve to get the roles as well. And with Rennie at the helm, I don't know, I've got this weird confidence, more so than I've had in a while in the All Blacks, and we haven't even played a game. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of things just to add to that. First of all, Rennie crucially got his guys. Like,
Mm,
this is the team he wanted. He clearly still wanted Jason Ryan, and he clearly got Mike Blair. And Dave Rennie's an attack coach by trade,
mm,
so Dave Rennie actually will have a lot to do with the attack alongside Mike Blair. So I actually think that's an important combination there. They clearly know each other. They clearly work well under each other. They've been coaching together for the last couple of years. They can plan going forward for the All Blacks while they're in Japan. So, and Barnes he just instills confidence in you.
yeah.
Like, geez, some of his quotes, like if you haven't watched the press conference, go and watch it. It's just, you just find yourself smiling, going, yeah, shit, this is someone that, like, if he told you that you weren't doing something right, geez, you'd be fixing it, wouldn't you?
Oh,
Straight
big
away.
time. Big time. And he seems like he'd deliver it in a harsh way, but then a way where he'd have a beer with you after. And if you delivered what he wanted, like, you'd get the recognition for it too. He seems like a real fair operator. And I just think what he's done more recently with Taranaki, like, they were at the top of their game for a while now, and he's discovered some exciting talent. So, yeah, senior assistant is an interesting one. It says he's going to have a lot of influence on this team, but I think his CV kind of warrants it.
Yeah, and he sort of said in the press conference that, like, he reiterated the fact that there's no, like, second guessing who's in charge here.
Mm.
Like, he's gonna challenge Dave Rennie in a lot of his things. He's gonna be the second in charge. But that's not gonna mean he's making the decisions and stuff. Like, he said
They
there's
say
no
your country
roles that
needs you, right? It was
he
almost
said your
like
country
he put
needs
up the
you.
Batman signal to Dave Rennie
Yeah.
to come back.
And
Crazy.
there was some other stuff. He said one thing about he was asked whether this is the most like the biggest gig or most pressure gig he's got, and he said, "Nah, coaching like I had to coach under 19s in rugby," and everyone was like, "What do you mean?" And he sort of explained that getting under 19s to want to play for free on a Saturday when they've got lots of other stuff going on, convince them to just play in a random paddock in New Plymouth is a lot harder than trying to coach All Blacks in an international test environment. So
Mm.
I kind of like the sort of reference there and sort of the I'm calling them no bullshit Barnesy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully, too, that grassroots rugby mindset can pass through the organisation because there's a lot going on at grassroots footy at the moment. A load of clubs struggling to field teams, which isn't great for New Zealand rugby. But that's probably a topic for another day. Pretty stoked with that coaching group though, and excited to watch them rip. And a quick little Super Rugby preview: Moana taking on the Highlanders at Albany. I noticed the points total at the TAB is set here at 64 and a half. I would say I expect the Landers to bounce back, but this weather in Auckland. 64 and a half is a lot of points, and I think Moana will put up a decent fight. So I'll be backing in the Landers, but I'm not expecting like a 50 points to 10 type of occasion. I think Moana will be up for this one. Landers, their second biggest loss in their history. And Ethan de Groot didn't mince his words in saying they were
no, I didn't.
embarrassed and they're keen to make amends. So I do expect a bounce back, but I don't think cricket scores on the way, purely down to the conditions, but also I think Moana will put up a decent fight because they'll want to send Tana off with a couple good results as well.
Yeah, it would have been a big week in Moana Pacifica camp, I think, to be fair. Moana, disappointing last week. They've shipped a lot of points. Geez, Tana won't even want for himself and his reputation. They won't want to concede that many points ever again in a game. Everyone, otherwise, all the comments are going to be, geez, if the Moana defense is anything like what the All Blacks is going to be, we're in
Yeah,
trouble. But
yeah.
I think the Highlanders will bounce back here. Something's telling me that the Highlanders will be fired up for this one. Just a
Mm,
lot of reasons why they'll be fired up for this one. We'll get their lineup in a couple of minutes.
mm.
But yeah, the Brumbies and the Waratahs just after. What are you thinking with this one? The Brumbies with a big win last week. Can they back that up, do you think?
Yeah, I think they will at home. Obviously, an inter-Australian rivalry. And we've mentioned a few times we think the Tars are going to fall off a little bit. They were good for majority of that game against the Blues, or 50 minutes anyway, and then the Blues kind of hit their straps and were way too good. I think the Brumbies get the dub in this one. Yeah, I can't see them dropping this game to the Tars. I think the Brumbies and Reds are certainly the best two Aussie teams, and they will well and truly play finals footy. But yeah, I think the Tars will continue to drop off.
Yeah, 100%. The Waratahs are a myth. We'll continue to say that until they prove otherwise.
You don't
The
like Sydney,
Hurricanes,
do you?
oh,
Sharks, Tars.
nah, but No, but I just see the difference is that I don't like the Sharks franchise. I don't like
Gotcha.
them, but the Waratahs, I just don't think that are that great of a side. Um, with the Hurricanes, it's a big game actually in
Mm.
Wellington. Their second home game of the season. Obviously, they missed round one, and then round two was at home to Moana Pacifica. It's a big game, and they've named the big guns. Tyrell Lomax is back in the front row. Xavier Numia, Safa Amora, Warner Durns plays. A little change in the loose forward trio. Duplessis Karifi comes into the lineup. Devon Flanders is still there. We've talked a lot about him. Peter Luckeye, Cam Roigard, Ruben Love at 10. Whittingham Nofo at 11. Geordie Barrett, Billy Proctor, Balin Sullivan, Morby. It's just a stacked 15, to be fair. Only a couple of minor changes in that first 15, but what do you make of Karifi coming back in?
Yeah, I like it. Really strong team. Luckeye at 8, Karifi at 7, Flanders at 6. That's a heck of a trio with Braden Yossi to come on off the bench as well. It is dangerous. I will say I was a little surprised at the 13.5 point head start that the TAB have given the Canes. I think the Reds will be up for this one off the back of effectively a bye for a couple of their best players who didn't travel to Fiji. Plus, they went over there and got the win, which must be great for their confidence, right? You got a couple depth players there that will be feeling really good about that result. And I think the Reds are a good side. So, like a 14-point difference, I can't see it being that high. I think the Canes win, but in a maybe 7 to 10 point style of game. This Hurricanes team is good. They got depth for days, and they're starting to play an exciting brand of rugby with Roigard, Love, and Barrett there. I'm keen to see how they kick on as a trio, that combination. But I do think the Reds will put up a decent fight. I think they're being slightly disrespected there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, to play devil's advocate on the Hurricanes train, who have been really good, and I am really high on them, think they should really win the competition with the squad that they've got. they technically haven't played a good
Mm.
team, some would say. They
Yeah,
played
their
Moana
draw's been
Moana
pretty
first up,
soft, right? Yeah.
really soft. They lost against Fiji and draw. They played Moana Pacifica. They played the Force at home. Then
Mm.
they played the Landers, which is a New Zealand derby. It's a tough game, but they blew them off the park. So the Reds, technically, I would consider this the first probably tough game that they've got. So I agree that the line's probably too much there. Interesting for the Reds, they'll have their players back from last week who they rested and still won in Fiji, which is an impressive feat. So who are you actually picking in this one?
I'm going to go the Canes in a tight game. And you mentioned draw there. They go Reds, Blues, Chiefs, Brumbies, and then finish with the Crusade. Oh, they've got the Crusaders, Moana, Blues, Landers, Crusaders again. This is kind of where it clicks into next gear. That Moana game is probably the only one out of a load of games left that is a guaranteed result. So yeah, it's interesting to see where they get to from here. But liking what I've seen from them so far, but this will definitely be a step up for sure. Blues versus Drawer. Any big changes there?
Not major ones. Off of Tonga Fussie's name, Bradley Slater, Sam Darry, Barnstorming Barnes again in the
Yep.
lineup. He just keeps getting better. Malachi Rampling got a yellow card and then sort of went off quite early. He's named again. Bowden Barrett, Caleb Clark, Peyton Spencer is named for his first game off the bench, which is an interesting one.
I think
Just going to
Zahn's
look at.
injured. Yeah, I
Oh
think he's.
yeah, I was just going to say concussion and Hoskins Tutu's out knee injury.
Mm,
Dalton Papali'i's back, but I don't think that's major. Um, and then yeah, so there's a couple of changes there. What do you think?
I think just the draw on the road, a completely different team to what they are at home. They lost last week at home. I think the Blues have really hit their straps. To me, they're the best team in the comp at the moment. I know they're sitting in second, but as we mentioned, strength of draw for the Canes has helped them out. The Blues have played some good sides and they bet them too. So yeah, I'm liking the Blues at the moment. I think they've got a style of play based around a physical forward pack with good game drivers and some experience and punch in the midfield and out wide too. They're a pretty balanced team at the moment. They've got some depth there as well. I thought Peyton Spencer looked pretty good, so keen to see him get the start at 15. Bodie's still there pulling the strings. They've got a bench with like Finlay Christie and experience on that too. So I think they pump the drawer, to be honest. And weather dependent, you could go 40 plus. It just depends how bad it is in Auckland on Saturday.
Yeah, I almost have been most impressed with Taufa Funaki. Actually,
Mm.
the nine,
He
he's
gets the
sort of come
start,
into the
right?
lineup,
Yeah.
gets the start over Finlay Christie. Not sure whether that's resting. You know, who will know with Vern Cotter, but I'm actually been really impressed with Funaki. So I think it's a big in for them. And then we move on to Saturday night. Some big changes for the Chiefs. Not major ones, but some positional ones that we'll just talk about now. Leroy Carter named at 13. He's played a little bit of that for Bay of Plenty. Thoughts on that move? He's got the skill set to kind of do a lot of roles, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's tough. He's pretty powerful. He's quick, explosive, and a decent distributor too. As you said, we've seen him play it for Bay of Plenty and NPC, and I think with Foketi and Rona both out, then it's almost a bit of a necessity. They got so many outside backs that are talented that you've almost just got to move Leroy there to fit the rest of them in, right, and still put out your strongest available backline. So I'm keen to see how he goes, though. All Blacks teams in the past, coaches in the past have prioritized versatility, and Leroy showing a bit of his here. So yeah, it's still a very exciting backline, and I think I floated out even in the preseason that perhaps Leroy could play 13 just to fit in a Kyron Moifolau, who was on the bench this week and might get an opportunity. They've been few and far between, but yeah, I still like this Chiefs backline. The most interesting one for me there is Jacob at 10 and DMAC at 15.
Yeah, double playmaker. We've sort of
Mm,
seen that for a lot of teams in the past. I just think they didn't dominate that game enough against the Brumbies when they could have. So that's probably could be part of the reason. Kyron Taumuifalau gets this get well, he's not on this he's on the bench, sorry.
mm,
An injury to Tupou Vai, knee injury to be confirmed on how long that is. But that was worrying signs last week. I'm not sure he didn't look overly in pain, but as in like it didn't look major, but
mm.
they're saying to be confirmed, whereas Wallace Satiti's round 8 to 10 now, which it was round 6 or 7. So it's an interesting one. Some injuries floating around for the Chiefs.
Yeah, there is, but in someone like Naito Akua, you still have quality, right? And this is where depth is crucial because they've been pretty unlucky with injuries, the Chiefs. They're just lucky that they've got a deep squad, but they need to start converting those into wins now. Like sixth at the end of round 6, they wouldn't be happy with that. And this Force game would be one they've targeted. So I expect them to be too good. I'm keen to see how those changes work out for them, but they should have way too much for the Force, surely. Force off the back of a bye. Tizano will probably score a try, but I'm backing the Chiefs there.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just searching to see whether, Zach Lomax is in the squad. I'm just having a look.
I saw he was training with them, right? They've been promoting that just to try get bums on seats, I guess, but
No, he's not in the 23.
gotcha.
So, probably have to wait. That was sort of built up as his first game, and they've
Yeah.
kind of just avoided it. But, yeah,
So they've got the
that's how
Reds
that one.
next, then the Drua in Fiji. Maybe it's a Drua type of clash, although that's not an easy game either. So yeah, let's wait and see around that. In terms of other things going on this weekend, just wanted to touch on the UFC really quickly. Almost just a reminder that Israel Adesanya is fighting because it's kind of crept up under the radar for a lot of sports fans. It's live and free from 10 a.m., the prelims and the main card on TVNZ Plus. So won't cost you anything to tune in. Izzy's a $1.72 favorite taking on Joe Pfeiffer, and he's meant to fight just after 3:30. We've also got Navajo Stirling on the undercard, expected to fight just after 11:30 against Brazilian Bruno Lopez. Both Kiwis favourites. Navajo's a massive favourite at the TAB, but I'm excited for this Izzy fight. Eugene Behrman kind of hinted that Izzy doesn't have many of these left in him, and to me, that is pulling on the heartstrings, right? It's a bit emotional there. We've loved watching Izzy go to work and rep our nation. So, look, if there are limited opportunities left, then I think you got to watch every one of them. And in Joe Pfeiffer, he's this up and coming middleweight who's known for violence. He's a great striker. His nickname's Body Bags. He's going to throw it all out there. It's going to be an exciting fight because Izzy's one of the greatest strikers ever. So I think it could be highlight reel stuff. And the UFC do this when guys are at the back end of their career. They dish them up a young gun that they think is on the up just to see if they can claim that as their first big scalp and kind of kick them off from there. But I think Izzy will have other plans. He'll want to show he's still got it. So yeah, it's free to watch. Sunday Arvo. Often there's nothing better. Crack open a cold Michelob and watch some UFC. Enjoy your weekend of sport. There's plenty going on. Some good footy, some good leagues, some good UFC. So go well, everyone, and we'll catch you back here Monday for the review and Surly set of six. How good.